thing which we have discussed in the last induction sessions about your structure of the answer, whatever material I have used there, and today or in the incoming classes, whatever I will be using in the class, as well as the comprehensive notes and handwritten notes, they will be there on that particular group. So first, today, before moving on to the start of sociology, we'll just do certain basic things so that you have an idea that when you are reading newspaper, how to look for value addition. For your answers, or when you're looking for any general common news, right, or any general statements in the society, your role is to spot the sociology in that. Right? Say for example, we usually talk about women being asked to come home on time, right? At least come home before the sunset, before it gets too dark. And what is told to them is that it is for your own good. Now, when we say it is for your own good, a person who is preparing for sociology or he's reading sociology, here very clearly you have to go beyond the statement to understand, first of all, this is victim blaming. The woman herself is the victim in this case, because why she has to come back home early? Because there is a possibility that she might face some kind of violence or some eve teasing or something like that. Who is doing that? Men is doing that. Who we are controlling? Women. That you should stay home for your own safety. We are just sugarcoating a reality where we are not seeing the root cause of the problem, but we are telling the victim, we are shaming the victim. So whenever there is some incident, usually people say that, okay, it is your fault, why were you so late, why were you wearing this particular thing? So with this, what happens is the entire thing comes on the victim. So as a person studying sociology, you need to spot that even most, you can say, innocent sentences, they will have certain sociological meaning behind it. Then also, this is a way in which you make sure that she imbibes those patriarchal norms. What is patriarchy? Patriarchy is male dominance. Male occupying power positions. And because of this, women are in a subordinate position. Right? Now, to make sure she is in that subordinate position, you reaffirm those norms since childhood. You have to wear these clothes, you have to be on time, right? You don't have to go out in the dark. So, with this simple statement, it is for your own good. It tells us, first of all, you are blaming the victim, you are shaming that person, and then, secondly, indirectly, you are reinforcing those norms. Since childhood, you keep on reinforcing these things. You have to sit like this, you have to talk like this, you have to wear these clothes, you have to behave in this manner, don't show your teeth when you're laughing. So, what happens is it becomes internalized. And the thing with patriarchy is that women, when internalize it, they become protectors of the patriarchy. So that is why you will find out in the society, it will be mostly women who will point you out that why are you wearing these clothes, why are you coming late at night, why there is a male friend with you. She is the victim of the system, But she, since birth, since childhood, she has been socialized in this manner that those rules, those norms are a part of her personality. She is a victim of system and also protector of patriarchy in later times, right? That is why sometimes we, in general statements, we talk about that women are women's biggest enemies. In Indian households, joint family, mother-in-law is, discriminating or harassing the daughter-in-law more when she was also daughter-in-law once. Because they become accustomed to these things. They imbibe those norms in them. So why I'm doing this in the start is that once you start reading sociology, develop your brain in this manner. Anything which is said in the society, it's not just a simple statement. It is not just four English words. It carries a very heavy meaning. It carries a sociological meaning. From this particular sentence, which appears very simple, you should be able to understand the dynamics of the society, how the society functions. So when we are looking for sociology, theory part is okay, that okay, we'll do emergence of sociology, we'll do thinkers also, we'll do paper two also, that's fine. But developing a sociological bent of mind, that is very important, where you spot the sociology everywhere. And you try to see how the society works. Say, for example, in recent times, your astrology apps, they are on rise. And never we would have thought that astrology and app, we would read it in one sentence. Astrology is something, you can say more not religious, I would say superstitious in nature. And when we are talking about app, it is related to science. Very recently, not recently, I think last 1 or 1.5 years back, a very big company, US company, it invested in AstroTalk. It's an app. They gave them $1 billion investment because they saw that this is a huge, huge market in India. Now, this is a simple news, but what does it tells about society? It tells that there is a term which we will be doing is there is a cultural lag. Sometimes when you're watching a video, audio lag happens. Video is moving, audio is not. Audio is of the previous sentence. So society is also having this lag right now. We have modernized in some sense, but there is still some areas where we are behind. There is still a lag. Science has developed, but we are still following the culture and traditions. In fact, we are molding these cultures and traditions with science. Ideally, what should be happening is this astrology, etc. We should not be believing in them. At the end of the day, it's like it's not something which is based on facts or something, right? It's about movement of planets, and it is very old in nature and it is very generic. You go to any person who practices astrology, he'll tell you very generic things, right? He'll tell you a generic thing that you take care of everybody, but nobody takes it. Everybody thinks in this way. Every single person, everybody sitting in this room, including me, will think in this manner only. Because we have a human mind. We always think I am better. I keep on helping people. Nobody helps me out. They'll give very generic statement, which will be absolutely true. Or they will say you have struggled a lot in your life. Everybody has struggled. right? You have a person who is very jealous of you. Everybody thinks in this way. So they give very generic statements. And we'll talk about this more when we'll do sociology as science also. That this is mere speculation, generalization. You just give a very general statement. If I'll say today it will rain, it is a very generic statement. I didn't mention the time, I didn't mention the place. I just said it will rain. Now it rains in Delhi, Hyderabad, Chennai. I will say, look, I said it will rain. Or it rains after 2 years also. Then also I will stand vindicated that, look, I said it will rain. But if I will tell it will rain on this time, in this place, then there is a possibility to prove me right or wrong. But astrology doesn't work like this. General statements, right? So when we are seeing this particular news that AstroTalk as a app, it gets so much funding from a US based company where this particular, uh, domain is not even there. It's more popular in India. So it tells something about the society, why they are investing. They're not investing to make a loss or something. They know it will be profitable because people, whether they are educated, they are uneducated, they are still interested in what will happen next, which also tells us about one thing, that life is very uncertain. Science may have progressed, but still science has not been able to answer few things. What is the purpose of our life? What will happen next? What will our life look like? There is a uncertainty, there is a vacuum where these areas filled in. Sometimes religion, sometimes astrology, which gives us hope. So once you start being a student of sociology, you'll have to start seeing things from a different perspective. And it's irrespective of whatever chapter is going on in our class, right? Yesterday only there was a very horrifying incident which happened in Pune where a woman, she pushed her fiance off a fort because she didn't want to marry him. Now, as a person, if you don't want to marry someone, you can just go to your parents and tell them. But the thing is, the caste based marriages are so strong. The person most probably is not of her caste, and that was an arranged marriage. So, society has progressed where people want to choose their, spouses. But the society is so strict and they're so afraid of these rules that, imagine this, that person is ready to commit a murder rather than talk to the parents. So this again shows a big, problem in the society where marriage, which should be a personal choice, has become certain, in certain way, it has acquired a shape of that family will decide for you. There is a sense of imposition that people are not even worried that they are going to be a murderer. They just see it as a normal thing, right? And we will talk about a concept of risk society also, right? Those concepts we'll do later on, but just in simple terms, society is based on trust. That incident is the biggest example. If society starts functioning like this, there will be chaos. Who can you trust? She has been putting statuses, sharing photos also. The wedding venue was booked, like a big 17 crore property was booked in Udaipur for the marriage, and she's silent. And this was the second attempt when she tried to push him down that particular hill. Second time. Imagine. So this indicates that so slowly society is becoming rotten from inside. There is some problem is there. We are not letting off the traditional values go away, which is creating such a conflict that a person is ready to be a murderer, ready to kill a 26-year-old guy just because you don't have courage to talk to your parents, just because you don't have the courage to tell that no, I don't want to do this arranged setup. And this is a second incident which has happened in last 2 3 years. Person wise, okay, she is a bad person. But general, if you see, you now have to see from a larger level, because human behavior doesn't happen in vacuum. We are part of the society. Our actions are determined by the situations we live in, and we live in a society where honor killings are still there, where parents, it's a strict no if it is out of caste. You might be very educated, you might be very rich. So even economic status, you still think in a manner which is very traditional in nature. So from now onwards, whenever you are reading newspapers, your bent of mind should be that, what is the reason behind it? Why this is happening? When you see a simple news that probably a low caste person was lynched, right? Or probably uh, a minority section person was lynched. You have to see the dynamics behind it, why it is happening. Somebody making a transphobic joke, or somebody making a misogynist joke. You have to understand that why this is happening. Individual is making, individual is bad, no doubt about it. But he's not making it on his own. He's a product of society. Why did he feel comfortable enough on camera to say such jokes, or to say rape jokes or misogynist jokes? So, as a student of sociologist, you have to think about these things. You have to think a little deeper. This analysis process, the spotting of sociology slowly will come in you. And when you are reading newspaper, all of my previous batches students, there were a lot of students who used to send me news clips, that is it relevant, or I have interpreted this news in this manner, do you think this is relevant? You can start doing this exercise. You find the news and you feel this can be the interpretation, please check it from me, that yes, this is the correct interpretation, that or no, you have to interpret this news in this particular manner. So keep a sharp mind when you're reading newspaper. Go beyond the superficial layer, right? Probe a little deeper, that why this is happening, right? Why this particular thing tells about how society functions, because that is not just a murder case for you. That is the mirror to the society. Any incident which happens is a mirror to the society. Like, few weeks back there was some joke, 370 rupees biryani joke was there, where a man thought that just because he paid bill of 370 rupees, he has earned the consent for sexual relationship, right? Now this is a mirror to society, because he was saying that joke and there were 50 other people in the room who were laughing. There was not even one person who said that, what are you even speaking? And one of a similar clip where a person says a misogynist joke was there, one of the abroad comedian was there, he stopped there and then, and he corrected him, that what are you even saying? So the guy is not just the culprit, it's the mirror to the society, where he feels comfortable on camera to speak those things, because there are 50 other people who are clapping on the same joke. Where you think that a woman's consent can be bought through 370 rupees. So this is a bigger problem. And some people will say that, okay, doesn't matter, he just said it in a flow. He's a 22-year-old man-child in this case. But he doesn't understand that what kind of statement he's saying. And it is not to be passed as a joke, because ultimately this shows how less he values consent of a woman. What is rape? It is lack of consent. And a 20-year-old guy saying this means it's a big, big problem in the society. That today also we are saying these kinds of things and we think this is a joke. So when you start studying sociology, syllabus part is fine, but you learn something very deep about the society, something which stays with you. You become a person who understands things at a much deeper level. You stop being a judgmental person. This is one thing you learn from sociology. You stop judging people based on their choices, gender, sexual orientation, caste, community, religion. You stop judging them because you understand the deeper layers. That at the end of the day, the person is also a product of society. If there are rape cases happening, it's a failure as a society that we are not being able to teach our young generation the concept of consent and respect for women. So, next time you will see any kind of news, you have to probe a little deeper. You have to think like a sociologist now because we are starting with sociology, and you learn a lot of things. Like I keep on saying, beyond syllabus also, you'll come out as a very changed person. You'll grow as a person. Your mindset will be more liberal in nature, more tolerant, where you will be able to think much deeper than what is visible to you on surface, right? And as we move on with the syllabus, whenever any news comes, which I think, I have an idea that, okay, this needs a discussion. See, everything is not just for the syllabus also. Whatever we discuss in sociology, you don't know, it can be useful in your GS also, or generally developing a analytical mind. That is why socio is very helpful in your GS also. This analysis, deeper analysis, it is there in the subject, and which makes you a good student in GS too. No matter which question come, you will be able to think something about it, analyze about it, right? Yes, are we clear here? Okay, so now today we will be starting with the first chapter of sociology, that is emergence of sociology. The name subtopic in the syllabus is social changes in Europe and emergence of sociology. Now this part, when we will be doing, important thing here is that we are trying to understand the history or the background which gave birth to sociology. Why it was necessary, what changes happened in the society, and these changes we needed to study, right? Whenever there is a new change, there will be a sense that, okay, we have to study it, we have to know the reason of why it happened, how it is changing the society, right? What are the different changes? So during those times, there was a need felt that a separate discipline is needed. Whatever disciplines are there right now, they might not be sufficient enough to explain these changes. Now, the word sociology, just give you a background before we see those changes. Word sociology, it is derived from a Latin word, societas, which means society, and logos, which means study, or sometimes also translated as science. So sociology is a study of society, and also, you know, in a better way, we can say that sociology is scientific study of society. When I say scientific, it means logic and rationality, not common sense. that everybody gets married, women have to cook and clean. What is the reason behind it? Scientifically studying those things, having a logic and rationality, not a sense that okay, this is common, that is why it is happening. So sociology is scientific study of society. Now this term sociology was coined by Auguste Comte, who is also the father of sociology, pioneer of sociology as a subject. We'll read about him once we start with the thinkers. Right? Before Karl Marx, we will be discussing basic pioneers because Auguste Comte, although he is not in your syllabus, but we need to have a base. Where did the subject started from? So Auguste Comte, he coined this word sociology, and he is the father of sociology. He first came up with this idea that we need to study the society scientifically. We need to study these changes. We need to study the parts of the society, right? And sociology is seen as the kind of a youngest social sciences, because after 18th century, when changes happened in Europe, then sociology came. It's not a very old social science subject. It's very new in nature. After 18th century, when Europe underwent lot of changes, then sociology as a subject took birth, right? In fact, there is a quote also which says that sociology is the child of modernity. Modernity happened, and because of that, sociology took birth. So it's a child of modernity. So yesterday we discussed about structure of answer, and I told you that you can start with definition, or if you have certain quotes like this, you can start your answer in this manner also, right? Because just a simple line, it saves your words also and is impactful too. So sociology starts with the premise that we have to study society in a scientific manner. And when we are talking about society, we have to see that what are we going to study in this society, right? Society is a very large generic term. What exactly we will be studying here, right? So we will be studying about, first is social action. Me sitting in the room and probably doing some chore, it's an individual action. It's not a social action. Social action is two people talking to each other or discussing things, or there are a group of people, or this is a social action. I am talking, you are listening, you are understanding, you will ask something. It is happening in a context where more than two individuals are involved, right? So we will be concerned about this social action, not individual actions. In the social context, when there are two or more social actors involved, that becomes the domain of study of sociology. Weber, our third thinker, his sociology, in fact, is seen as sociology of social action only. He talks a lot about social action. So we will be discussing about this part, actions in social context, right? Then we will be concerned about social institutions. Social institutions are certain institutions which are bounded, which are rule bound, which have certain principles, functions, and roles of people inside those institutions. Like, and these are stable in nature, stable and enduring. If outside the institute I gather 10 people and we start talking about something, that's not a social institution, because so as soon as you disperse, it is not a stable in nature. There are no rules, there are no roles of people. It's just people gathered for some time and then they dispersed. Social institution is a stable thing, right? Now, if we are talking about social institutions, here family comes in. Marriage is a social institution. Kinship is a social institution. Religion is a social institution, right? Your polity structures, which we'll do in your politics and society, power structures, right? That is also here. Even economy. So all of these are rule bound. People have roles in them. It is stable. It is not unstable in nature. Family as an institution is stable. If two, or marriage is stable in nature. If two people or 10 people decide that they don't like marriage, it doesn't disrupt the system. It is still there. It has been there since very, very long time. And it has certain functions. It has certain roles. Same goes for religion also. Stable, enduring principles are there. It performs certain functions. And that is what we want to study in the sociology. We want to know about the social action. We want to know about social institution. And also, we are concerned about the larger perspective, that is the social structure. Right? Let's take an example that this building is entirely, it is society. Right? Now, in this society, this particular building, it has a structure which has been made with certain, steel or concrete or bricks also, which provides it a structure. The whole building, completed building is society. But there is a structure, these beams, these pillars, right? In totality, it includes the skeletal structure of the society. How different rooms are connected with each other. Where is the stair placed? Which room is of which person? Where will different classes happen? So that social structure as a whole, we will be studying. How are people interacting? Social structure will include everything. How different institutions are interacting, because family and marriage, it's not that they are isolated. They are interacting with each other. So we will study about the entire social structure also. Think of institutions as rooms. Every room has a proper place, proper rules. It is stable and enduring in nature. This room might be family, downstairs might be the room for, institution of marriage. So society is like this building. It has a skeletal structure which we will call social structure, which supports the entire system, connects everything, right? And within this building, different social actions are happening. I am talking to you, ground floor, there are people who are doing counseling, collecting money, telling them which courses, whatever. Simultaneously, actions are happening. So society as this building, we want to understand. We want to know its different parts, right? Then society also has social processes. There are certain processes which keep on happening, like conflict. Conflict is a process. Socialization. Socialization is a social process. Socialization is where we train the younger generation. We pass on the norms and values. Conflict Any society is not without any conflict. Here also in this building, there might be some areas of conflict. 2, 3 students come and complained about something, right? So simultaneously, certain processes keep on going in the society: cooperation, socialization, conflict. We are interested in these processes also, right? Like Karl Marx's theory is mostly based on conflict. He wants to study the conflict in the society. We'll see that. So we want to study about the social processes. Social change in the society is also a social process. For example, say a new faculty comes in this building and we are considering this society. That is a change. So in society also change happens. Traditions change, rules change, and we want to study that also. Why that change happened, how that change happened. So this is all under the domain of sociology. Now, mind you, these are very basic things. No, it's not in the syllabus. Nobody is going to ask you what are the parts of society, but you should always start with the basics. Because as we move forward, these words will keep on coming: social institution, social structure, social process. You should not be confused that, okay, what are these words? These will become part of sociological language. I will think that it is understood that when I'm using this word social institution, that you have an understanding what do I mean by it. When I say a social process, you know what do I mean by it. So always focus on understanding the basic terms. What happens with this is you don't have to mug up facts. You focus more on understanding. Once you understand the word, you will never forget. But if you'll keep on, mugging up like you do it in school, that you're just reading and then closing your eye and repeating it again and again, that doesn't work here. This is not school, this is not college. That you read a paragraph and keep on repeating by closing your eyes and you will learn it. You will forget it. Syllabus is so vast. You have to understand things. Once you understand things, memorization is a byproduct of it. When you write answers, you will, again, it's a byproduct of it, memorization, right? So we will have social processes also. Now for this, I'll share this on, where is the photograph? Okay, I think they forgot to share it. So there is a whole photograph which talks about society and its parts, right? That what sociology will be basically focusing on, right? Now you can, even use the analogy of a theater. We used this with respect to building. You can use it with respect to a theater where a play is going on, right? The entire play you can consider it as a society, right? Now in the play, actors' performances are social action. When they will perform, when they will say dialogues to each other, that is social action, right? Social institutions. What are social institutions here? If you have to, this is an analogy, not exactly similar to. There will be a script. Script is something which is rule bound that you have to say these dialogues only. You cannot improvise on your own. This is the script. That is how the story moves forward, and you have to say these dialogues, right? So like this, try to understand things. I'll share these particular things when, in the group, in the Telegram group, you'll be given the link. So when we will move forward, we will always try to understand lot of things in sociology through analogy. Now analogy is where I will give some real life example and explain those things. This is more for understanding point of view. You don't have to write it in the exam, right? This is just for basic understanding, that look at a theater. This is social action, this is social process, this is social institution. So that you can imagine thing. One very important thing about optional, any optional, not just sociology, is that you should be able to imagine. Because there will be a lot of new terms. And if you just keep on reading them or mindlessly mugging them up, you will not retain it for a longer time. Understand it, and understanding, while you're understanding, imagine it that okay, this society is this building, or society is this play. With this, you will remember it for a longer time. That is where your mnemonics also come in. Like I gave Spice's framework for writing answers. Just to imagine, just to remember for a longer period of time that okay, this framework I can use it in my answer writing. Right? Okay. Now let's move on to our main thing today. We'll just discuss briefly only. Now, when we are talking about emergence of sociology, we'll discuss briefly about a timeline here. Now, dates are not important. Lot of events for you are also not important. This is just to create a context so that suddenly I talk about enlightenment, you won't be able to understand. So we will see it how the history in Europe developed, right? What were the various events which led to formation of sociology, but before those events, what did Europe look like, right? Because see, if I say change happened in Europe, you will be able to appreciate this change more if you know what was the situation before. Say for example, there is somebody who is teaching you any subject, right? And you really like the way the lecture is going on, and suddenly the teacher changes and you don't like it. Now you will appreciate the previous teacher more because you know what was the standard there and what is the standard here. So similarly here, when we will talk about the changes which happened in Europe, first we'll understand what was Europe before. So it makes sense that okay, these changes started happening in Europe, right? Now, as I have always told you, previous year questions are very, very important. Before we start the concept, I will always tell you that these are the previous year questions so that you keep an eye on it. That if we are reading about Renaissance, why we are reading it? Because it has been the part of the previous year question. If we are talking about Enlightenment period or French Revolution or Industrial Revolution, why we are reading this? Because this is in the previous year question. So these are the 7 questions from emergence of sociology, just emergence of sociology, right? So the larger topic is sociology, the discipline. Under this, for emergence of sociology, there have been around 7 questions from 2013 to 2025. 2026 is also not far. So once the mains happen, I'll include those questions too. So just see the highlighted thing: enlightenment, renaissance, enlightenment again. Intellectual forces is nothing but enlightenment only. So there is a repetition. Then they're asking what are the historical antecedent. It means history. Again the same thing. Your optional questions are nothing but repackaging of same concept. If there is a person who can solve all the PYQs, he can easily get good marks. That is why I always stress upon PYQs. They have just changed the language. It's same. Historical antecedents mean what happened in the history that led to emergence of sociology. Now in history, enlightenment happened, Renaissance happened. That was the question before also. So once you get hold of this, no matter what language they ask the question, you will be able to answer. So we will be keeping an eye on the previous year question before we start the topic. Because once we are reading it, we should know that yes, this is important. This has been asked twice, thrice, or 4 times. Right? Then again, enlightenment comes. Right? Then emergence of industrial society, industrial revolution we'll talk about, right? Then this one question was a little different, we'll discuss about this, right? So if you see here, it's around Enlightenment, Renaissance, Industrial Revolution, French Revolution, which are the basic events which happened in Europe, which brought about change in Europe, which changed the entire society. Now, this changed society, we needed a discipline, and that discipline came to be sociology, right? Okay, so now let's just see how did your Europe looked like. Before that, there's one very important concept which you should know, that ideas in society. Now, this is a very important concept, right? Fundamental concept, not in the syllabus, but for a better understanding, right? Ideas are directly proportional to societal conditions. Whatever ideas emerge in the society, they emerge because societal conditions have changed or society demands for it. Say, for example, let's move away from sociology for a bit. Now, today there are concepts like body positivity. Why the concept of body positivity emerged? Because the eating styles changed, junk food changed, obesity in the society changed. Now, due to this increased obesity, what happened is trolling of these people, making fun of these people, right? Not feeling comfortable in your body. Body positivity is not that you have to be fat forever. It is while you are preparing yourself to lose weight, to get healthy, you are comfortable and whatever. Because there are a lot of people who cannot lose weight because of hormonal issues also. Women suffering from PCOD, it is very difficult for them to lose weight, right? So body positivity movement, you see, it is an idea. And it emerged because societal condition changed. Lot of people who were suffering or were overweight or were suffering from obesity, that changed, and which required a new idea to emerge to prevent these people, or we can see the idea of feminism. Idea of feminism is equality. It emerged because societal conditions for very long time were such that women were being subjugated. They were oppressed. They had no rights. So, ideas are always directly proportional to the societal conditions. Now, why we are doing this is that Europe's condition, your European society's condition, they changed. And that led to emergence of certain new ideas. Like industrial revolution started. Previously, the society was agrarian, right? Now there is a huge change. Industrial revolution was not just factories. People shifted from villages to cities. Joint families broke away and formed into nuclear family because they are moving to the cities. Now this is a new change for the society, very quick change. So now ideas will emerge that, okay, we will study, we will try to understand this. So any new idea which emerges in the society, it doesn't emerges in vacuum that suddenly I wake up one morning and start thinking about feminism. No. It's not like it comes in my dream and next day I start talking about it. No. It is because society needs it. The societal conditions are such. So consider sociology as a subject in this manner only. That is why I am talking here. That something changed in the society and now you want to understand this change. So new ideas came in form of sociology. So, when economic changes happened in Europe, factory system came about. Karl Marx started talking about capitalism. He named it. He talked about exploitation in capitalism. Before that, when we were living or Europe was living as an agrarian society, there was no need for Marx to talk about capitalism because capitalism was not there. He talks about what is capitalism? Yes, anyone? What do you mean by capitalism? Yes. So there is economic system which is based on profit making, right? So that is capitalism. Now, whatever we are living in a, although we call ourselves a mixed economy, right? But majorly world over, it is a capitalist society. Everything is working for profit. Elon Musk is not doing a charity; he's working for profit. Jeff Bezos is not working for your any charity; he's doing it for profit. That is capitalistic system. Now capitalism came with industry system only, where they started working for profit. And I will invest, I will put up this factory, I will pay you salary. Now after everything, selling those products, your fixed salary will be this. And first of all, the salary used to be very less. Now whatever profit is left, whatever money is left, this is mine. This is basic understanding of capitalism. I am a capitalist, I own everything, and the profit goes to me. Now this is a new system which emerged. Previously, people were just peasants, farmers. They were just growing crops, keeping the crops for themselves and some part to the lord of the estate as a tax. That's it. Now here, if somebody suddenly start talking about capitalism, it doesn't make sense because society doesn't have capitalism. Once capitalism started, people started thinking about it, that it is an exploitative system. Right? Now, this you can connect it with news. Oxfam report is there today. You go back and check, it is important for your economy also. Oxfam report says that right now, even if we talk about India also, top 1% of people, they are controlling the maximum wealth. These are capitalists. Inequality is there. Now, inequality came with capitalism. Imagine Elon Musk being a trillionaire, and on the other side, there are people who do not have food to eat. Right? Now, here will start the critique of capitalism. And this is what happened in 1800s. Capitalism brought a lot of change in European society. People for the first time saw poverty, that poverty is also something. It's a social problem. It's a created problem because one person is taking all the profits. He is giving just small salary to us. Now, when this condition changed, you need to study it. Who will study this? A new discipline, that is sociology. Right? So, in totality, before we move further and we go through the steps, it's very important to understand this basic concept that ideas don't occur in vacuum. They are directly proportional to the societal condition. If you understand this, you will have a larger overview of the chapter. Always start with basic one line crux of whatever you are studying. Then chapter, you remain connected to the chapter. Sometimes people, they are reading Renaissance and they don't realize in between like, why I am reading all Renaissance. But if you have this one line in mind, that this is a change in society. Renaissance brought about a change in society. Now this change needs to be studied. Who will study this? Sociology will study this. You will not be lost in the lecture. That why I am studying world history. Right? You're studying it because our main motive here is to tell you about the change. Right? Now this part is very simple. I have discussed it yesterday also. You just need to know the events. Questions are very, very simple, direct questions, enlightenment, renaissance, etc. But you need to create a correlation that these were the changes due to renaissance, due to industrial revolution, French revolution, enlightenment period, and other changes which we will be discussing. And hence, to study these things, sociology emerged. Right? Tomorrow I will show you a flowchart also, that how you can add it in your answer. Okay, let's just first see how European society looked like before. Now, when we talked about European society, now here again, please, the century number which I have given here, it is not important. You don't have to learn everything. This is just so that you can know a timeline. This is not a world history paper. Dates are not important. This is just and just for your understanding. So when we are talking about European society, there was an age from 8th century BC to 5th century AD, which was known as classical antiquity phase, where Europe was at the heights of cultural achievements. Right? Here at this point of time, ancient Greek, Rome, etc., they were very developed. In fact, the starting of nascent form of democracy started from here only in Greece. So at this point of time, European civilization, which we call this phase as classical antiquity, it was at its highest point of cultural development. Architecture wise, art wise, literature wise, it was flourishing. New ideas like democracy, republics, it was flourishing. And then came an age in Europe which was known as Middle Age or Dark Age. Right? Now, this was the age in Europe when lot of religious wars started. Catholics and Protestants, they were fighting, right? And in this age, your fall of Roman Empire happened. Now, a lot of things in history, they will be overlapping in times. Renaissance started in 14th century. Like Middle Ages, this Dark Age period, it prolonged, but it was towards the end, or towards its end, Renaissance had already started, right? Anyhow, so this Dark Age, it coincided with falling of this Roman Empire, which was culturally doing very good. New ideas, flourishing society, very successful trade is happening, people are happy, and then comes a Dark Age, right? And this Dark Age was from 5th to 16th century. Here, feudalism started. I'll explain you what is feudalism, right? Church got lot of powers. It is during this time church was deciding everything. Just give you an idea too, during Dark Ages. Again, this is just for your understanding before we go to Renaissance. Now in Dark Ages, church is the central authority. Church is deciding everything. Right? Now, if we are talking about church, it is having a political role also. It gives a theory, divine will, that whoever will be the king, the pope or the priest will be telling, because he knows the divine will. Whoever is the king, because God wills it, because a divine power wills it. Now it is controlling your state also, or it is controlling that particular monarchy system also. So here Politically, we have monarchy. Monarchy means kings are there, right? And who is in close relationship or he's calling the shots from behind? Church. They give the theory that this person, if he is your king, you have to bow down because God has willed, right? Then church is controlling science also. Church is telling that this is a geocentric world. Earth is at the center and all other planets including sun, they're all moving around the earth, and which was later proven wrong also. That is why Galileo was put on trial when he challenged this. When Copernicus, he proved it also. Galileo and Copernicus, they were put on trials. Galileo was awarded your home imprisonment till his death. That how dare you challenge that church? So church was an all-encompassing body. All-encompassing means it's controlling everything. Then church is controlling the art and architecture also. Art means art is mostly religious in nature. They are painting angels, right? Which you will see in Renaissance. When Michelangelo, etc. will come, they will start painting humans, right? Because things change now. From divine, the society will become more human centric. That why are you always talking about divine? What about humans? That will become center point of discussion of sociology also later on, because we will take inspiration from here. So now here, art is also religious. Angels, drawing of Jesus, Mother Mary, everything is centered in art, in painting is also about your church. Architecture is also, mostly you will see that it will be, those pointed churches, etc. The architecture is also inspired by them. Religious architecture is more common. So this was the dark age where all these things were happening. Dark age because society was very stagnant in nature, one institution controlling every power. And your economic system was feudalism. Tomorrow I will show you picture. They didn't display everything. Now this was the economic system there. Now understanding feudalism, why it is important? Because feudalism will get replaced by capitalism, right? Now when it got replaced by capitalism, changes happened, and to study those changes, sociology was there. So to have a better understanding here, we need to know what was before also. That is why before, after, right? When you are exercising and if you want to see have you lost weight or not, you compare two photos, na, before and after. Then you can understand, okay, yes, I have lost weight. Otherwise, if you look in the mirror, you feel no, not much weight have been lost. So before and after is very important. Although our syllabus is about after. Why we are having a context of before? Because till the time we see what was before, we will not have a better understanding of after, right? Now in this feudalistic system, at the bottom were peasants, or known as serfs. Now peasants and serfs, is the voice clear now? Sorry, I didn't see the message. Okay, so now in this peasants and serfs, they used to grow crops, right, on whatever small parcel of land they used to have, and that land was controlled by the lords. He is the head of the estate. So whatever this peasant is producing, 90% he is giving to the Lord only for his subsistence, right? Day-to-day needs of his family. He's keeping. He is working on the fields. He is working throughout the year. But what he gets, just merely 10%. This cause will become the major reason for French Revolution. Again, French Revolution brought a change in society. Monarchy got replaced by democracy. And that is why we need to study through sociology. So every event is connected with each other. And this is the simplest part of sociology, low-hanging fruit. Just you need to know the sequence of events. Questions you have already seen. They're not very difficult to attempt, right? So when we are talking here, there were lords. Above lords, there were king who controls the entire kingdom. So some part, that's the duty of the lord to further give him whatever his share is, right? And then above kings was clergy, your church. This was the feudal system where these people, they were doing the most heavy duty work. All the work, all the burden of economy is here, and what they are getting? Peanuts, nothing. So this system was there. Now, even today, if we'll see in Britain, if you go, some people still have these prefixes such as lord, etc., sir. So these are the remnants of your aristocracy. This was known as aristocracy. They were owners of lands, big estates. That's a remnant of your feudalism in Europe, which was ended, but these are the remnants. They own huge estates, right? Obviously, their agriculture is not there, but now their personal properties are there on that land. Now, at this time, Europe is at the darkest stage. Exploitation of these people, these form major chunk of the society. Peasants and serfs. These are the minorities in minority. But they are controlling everything. Because you are controlling science also, art also, architecture also, economy also, politics also. So you have a very strong hold over these people, and which makes the exploitation of the major population very easy, right? Because you control everything. How, if you talk about dictatorships, how do they rule their country? They control everything, right? If we talk about North Korea, in North Korea, the rules are so strict that even haircuts are given. That these are 10 haircuts, you choose from these 10 only. So you control minutest of the details of the society. So this was the dark age which was there in Europe during the time, right? And every dark age has at end certain light which came in form of Renaissance movement. Renaissance started from 14th century. Its epicenter was Italy, and from there it spread to other parts of the Europe. Now here everything is changing, right from art, architecture, politics, literature, everything. And we'll see from tomorrow that there was also other movements which started. Commercial revolution, people started exploring outside also. Shipping industry formed, right? Then Reformation period, Catholic Church being questioned that why are you controlling everything? Who has given you this power? Scientific revolution started, right? Just giving an idea before we go deeper. Then Enlightenment period came about. New ideas. Enlightenment was about new ideas. Democracy now we feel very common. Democracy emerged from here. Rules, rules about economy. Adam Smith, when he's talking about the market, the forces of market, he's from this era, Enlightenment era. When there is talk of your social contract theory, will do all these things, right? Anyhow, these things will also be there in your world history too. So it's like an overlap. You'll do these things there in detail. So new ideas emerged in Enlightenment period. And because of these ideas, French Revolution and Industrial Revolution started. So all these events in sequence, Renaissance, Age of Exploration, Reformation period, scientific revolution, and that is why when sociology started, we called it scientific study of society, because it was influenced by the scientific revolution. So we will see parts of scientific revolution too, right? Now, in this, going back here, all these things together, right? Say for example, if you want to make a flowchart here for a better understanding, Renaissance, Age of Exploration, Reformation period, gave an impetus to scientific revolution. After this came Enlightenment period. From Enlightenment period, French Revolution and Industrial Revolution emerged. Now all these changes combined gave you a new society, which we also call as modernity, modern society, right? Now to study this new society, we needed a new discipline, and that is how sociology took birth in simple one flowchart. So now in your notes, when you are thinking about making short notes, you should make in this manner. Entire chapter is concised into this flowchart. You remember what happened, and then what next happened, and then ultimately there was birth of sociology. When you do it in a flowchart manner, you will never forget about things. Otherwise, it is very easy to forget. You will be confused because here, see, years are not important. We are not studying history. So I don't expect you to know what was the century where Renaissance started, but you should know which thing was first, which was second, which was third. That I expect. So, next time, in the group telegram, I'll share this flowchart also. You don't have to worry about this. But whatever extra notes you make, always make with the sense that I have to revise from these notes, not study from these notes. Right? Your own notes are for easy recall and revision. That's it. That is the only purpose. When we are looking at that I want to study something, do it from your notes or whatever book you are following. Not from your own notes. Your notes cannot be replacement of the standard books. Never can be the replacement. And it is also wastage of time. That time you spent on making notes, you can write answers. That will be more beneficial rather than wasting this time. Right? So now, Renaissance movement when starts here, I'll just leave you with 3 points, important things which happened in Renaissance. Right? Changes happened in art, architecture, that is not much importance for when it comes to sociology's emergence. We'll do main 3 core points of Renaissance which gave a influence for sociology to emerge. First thing was humanism. Second was secularism. Third was individualism. Now, individualism and humanism are different. We'll do that tomorrow. These were the core tenets or core principles which emerged from Renaissance period. Tomorrow we will see the correlation that when I'm talking about humanism, this is the meaning of humanism. But how did it impact sociology's birth? And Renaissance, when we are talking about Renaissance is something, it had an indirect effect, not a direct, because sociology came much later. This is starting in 14th century, sociology came in 18th century. But it is creating that fertile ground for sociology. People start thinking that yes, this things should be like this in the society. So these will be the core principles. We will discuss these core principles because we are not interested about what Michelangelo made or what was Sistine Chapel or whatever your Shakespeare wrote. We are not interested in that. We are interested in the basic principles which will impact sociology, right? So that when we are done with Renaissance, when we are done with Enlightenment, you can quickly solve the previous year question. Clarity should be there. We will never in the class mix up things. Very clear cut demarcation will be there. This happens, then this happens, or this is the concept we are doing. These are 4 points of the concept. Never there will be a confusion, right? So today just go back. You have a very simple job to do. Just go through the basic flowchart which we have discussed here. You can complete the formalities today, and tomorrow onwards we will be, please just listen this carefully, we will be starting class at 10:30. Now from today onwards your class will be 2.5 hours. 10:30 to 1 p.m. Because now we are entering into sociology. You don't want to be doing syllabus in small chunks, right? So from tomorrow onwards, 10:30 your class will start till 1 p.m. and we will tomorrow talk about emergence of sociology, right? And then once this gets over, we'll be starting with the most important aspect, that are thinkers, and we'll start with Karl Marx. Before that, we'll do, like today we did some context and then we started there also, I'll explain the context, right? So see you tomorrow at 10:30 am. Please do remember, don't come at 11:30 because 1 hour class would have passed, right? Is it clear to online students? Time for tomorrow is 10:30. Okay, thank you so much.